In this program, we're going to look at how to format numbers in different bases in C++. So this program would be bases.cpp from your Canvas page, and it includes the #include IOStream because we're going to be doing input and output. The formatting the other numbers doesn't require any special include file. It's just how you set up the numbers. The numbers would need to be integer values, and so if you wanted to do a binary number, you just set up an integer, and then when you're putting the number in the integer, use 0b in front of the number, and then you could put a number that's in binary. So that would be a binary 1, 0, 0. If you want to do a number in hex, you do a 0 and then a lowercase x, and then whatever your number in hex is. Octal's kind of strange. Octal's just a 0 in front of a number that contains only digits from 0 to 7. And then for decimal, you just put in the number the default regular way. So let's print these out. It's going to print out just the default way in using cout, which is that it'll print these all as a decimal, and let's see what we get. So A was our number in binary, so 100 in binary. That is a decimal 4, so that looks correct. B was our number in hex, and so 100 in hex is 256, so that looks correct. C was our number in octal, so 100 in octal is a 64 in decimal, and then a 100 in decimal is a 100 in decimal. So let's take a look at this though. What if we actually wanted these numbers to print out in these other number systems? Well, there's two ways that we can do that. One is we can just set a output flag here, so format flag. To set a format flag, we just need to add another field. So I'm going to add a separator in here. Let me add a space there. And then we'll do std : because this is going to come out of what's in the C standard library, and it's already in the IOStream include that we included here. It's out of what's called iOS, which is part of that. And then we can just use the keyword hex here. So this would be the following numbers would all print out as hexadecimal numbers. So let's run it and see what we get. And so 4 in decimal is the same as 4 in hex. So before, when we printed out the 100 in hex, we got 256, but now it prints out as 100 in hex. The octal number 100 prints out as 40 in hex, and then the decimal number of 100 prints out as 64 in hex. We can do the same thing and force it to be in octal, so OCT for octal. Now the same numbers are printing out in octal format. The default, of course, is decimal, but if you wanted to mix hex and octal, and you wanted it to, or hex, octal, and decimal, and you wanted it to switch back and forth, you could set it up like this. And then that would force it to switch back to decimal. So DEC for decimal. So hex for hexadecimal, oct for octal, and then dec for decimal. There's an alternate way of doing this where you can set the flag, but you'll also need to include iomanip. That was the one that we looked at in the previous program. And we're going to use SetBase, which is one of the functions from iomanip to set the base. So we could do SetBase 16, so that would set it to hex. You can see the numbers print out as hex. We could do SetBase 8. Numbers should then print out in octal. There we go. And then we could do SetBase to 10. which is again the default, but if you were switching back and forth in midstream or in several different statements, then you might have to reset it. And so there it's reset to decimal. So either way works. You can set the flag through the SetBase command, or you can set the flag directly just by placing it in the cout string. One kind of weird thing with C++ is there's no way to force it to show a number in binary format. So there's some manual ways of doing that. We'll talk about that later in the course. Because it's a little bit more complicated, it involves some right shift and left shift operators. So it comes much later. Thanks for watching.